So tonight we're having homemade pizza. And with homemade pizza, you need pizza dough. So I'm gonna give my bread recipe, which all of the ingredients are here, which is whole-purpose flour. I always add a little flaxseed to everything. I'm big on fiber, dry yeast, water, egg, kosher salt, a bowl, a nice board so you can do your kneading. And I'll also list the ingredients down at the bottom. So let's get started. Here I have my stainless steel bowl. It's a basic stainless steel bowl, a fork. And what I'm going to add first are all of the dry ingredients. So it's 2 tablespoons of brown sugar with 2 teaspoons of yeast. And I will add my flaxseed very last, even though it's dry, because it's gonna go into the bread. And this is gonna be I just do 2 pinches, which is about half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Then this is my water. The water should be warm enough, but not cold enough, just like if you were to give your baby a bath. So if it's lukewarm, it's perfect. So just kind of come in here and just kind of get these dry ingredients just to kind of break up a little bit like this. And then take your water in here and pour the water in. And then you just start whisking it. I just use a fork. And you'll know that the yeast is active. It'll start to look like it's bubbling a little bit. Let me bring the camera over here actually. And you'll be able to see how it actually looks there. And then bring the camera back. And I'm not a very good camera person. That's why I need my kids to help me. You can tell that it's starting to bubble. So if it's got that bubbly look to it, like foamy or bubbly, good. Then I'm gonna add my 1 egg. We have plenty of that. And just kind of whisk the egg around. And it's still bubbling, so the yeast is active, and that's good. It's not over too hot. And then this is where I'm going to add the flour. So I usually start a little bit on the lower end with the 3 cups, and then if I need to add more flour after, I will. So 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, and then just take the fork and just start moving it around, and the bread will start to come, and it will start to form itself. Let me see, I'll show you how it's starting to look when we turn the camera around for you guys. You'll see how the bread is starting to come together. Okay, so now that the bread is all coming together here, I'm gonna see that it's really sticky. It's very sticky. And that's where I'm gonna get a little bit of flour here and add it to my board. Maybe like 1/4 cup, just so I can dump the bread out. Dump it out here. The bowl to the side, and this is where your kneading process starts. And this is where I'm gonna add my flaxseed right here. So just gradually put the flaxseed in, a little bit at a time. That's how I do it, so the flaxseed kind of really dissolves in there, and they have a little bit of fiber and even pizza. And just kind of play it by ear. You can knead. You'll get a feel for the bread when you're kneading it. You'll start to say, okay, it still feels kind of gooey. You may just kind of have to go around here and just kind of get this flour here to absorb in there. And it's still sticking to my hand fairly, so it still needs more kneading. At least 2 to 3 minutes, I would say, of just solid kneading. Maybe a little more flour, so just kind of sprinkle a little bit more there on the board. Just kind of move it around like this. And then just kind of go to town there. And give it like 2 to 3 minutes. And once the 2 to 3 minutes is up, you're gonna have a nice little ball, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, so I've been kneading this bread for about 3 minutes. It's just about done there. And you can see that now. Just kind of go around and get the little bit left of flour that's there. It's no longer really sticking to my fingers. And it's got a nice rubbery feel to it. So you can see it here like this, and I just kind of make it into a ball like this. See? There it is. And this particular recipe makes 1 loaf of sandwich bread, or 1 batch of dinner rolls, which is about 8 rolls, or 1 12-inch pizza. So, and then if you need to make more, you can always just double the recipe. So I will put this back in my bowl. I just floured it here so it can stick to the bottom. I'm going to cover it for an hour with a cloth. Put it somewhere in the house. Well, it's warm today, so it's warm everywhere. And in the hour, it should double its size. We'll look at it in an hour, and then we're gonna cut it in half because I'm gonna make 2 smaller pizzas, little thin crust, 1 for my daughter, 1 for my son, and we'll go from there. And there's our bread. Oops, fell right over. I'm gonna cover it up, and we'll check on it in an hour. Okay, so we're gonna come and see our bread has doubled in size. About an hour, hour and a half. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to cut the bread in half, put it in 2 separate bowls, and let it rise for another 30 minutes. And then I will be putting it out on the cutting board, and we will roll it into about 2 10-inch pizzas. So let's let it rise for another 30 minutes. So here is this nice bread cutter that I use to, scrape the board and just cut the bread in half like this. Just comes right down the middle. Just cut it right in half, and then just take one of these, roll it up like in a little ball, kind of like how we did last time. Put it into this other smaller bowl. I put a little bit of olive oil at the bottom so it doesn't really stick, and just stick it in there like so. Same thing with this one. Just kind of fold it over, just kind of roll it around to like a nice little ball. Another bowl, put it in there, and then we're going to cover them. Let me just get the towel that I'm going to cover them with, just a nice dish towel, nothing fancy. I have quite a few of these, and just keep them covered like this for like another 30 minutes, and then we should be able to start making our pizzas. Our pizza dough has risen really nice, and I just have some of these, not very expensive. I had some really nice expensive pizza stones, and when I moved here, I can't find them anywhere. I have to go through my stuff. So I just got these actually at the 99-cent store for now. I've had them for a couple months. I just put a little bit of olive oil on them, just so that way the dough doesn't really stick to the bottom. And then I have just put some flour here, and I have my rolling pin. I'm gonna put my dough here, and I'm going to round it out, do it to the thickness that you like. And sometimes my kids get very creative and they want to do the stuffed crust, or they use different kinds of cheeses. They'll use cheddar, they'll use mozzarella, but today we'll just do the basic mozzarella cheese. So you can get fun with pizza. Actually, we make a sweet pizza too. So what we'll do is we'll roll it out like a regular pizza, and we'll put apples, cranberry, and cinnamon with a little bit of brown sugar on the top, and on the bottom to bake. Instead of the pasta sauce, we put a little bit of applesauce, and it comes out really good. And then after it comes out, we'll just drizzle a little bit of caramel across like that, and maybe a little powdered sugar. Comes out really good. We'll do that one day too. That's like our dessert pizza. But tonight it's just going to be a vegetarian pizza and a pepperoni and olives pizza. Pizza dough, or pizza crust better said, it's not real thick because it will rise when you bake it, and it looks like it's gonna do good. It already has some bubbles in it, so that's a good sign of a good bread that's gonna rise. On our pizza pan here, and then I'm going to add everything I'm gonna add on there, and then I'll put it in the oven, probably like 25-30 minutes, and you have homemade pizza. And then this one, so if you only want to make one pizza, you can use this one for a small loaf of sandwich bread or dinner rolls, whatever you want to use it for. So this recipe, you can stretch it out pretty good. Pasta sauce from my tomatoes from my garden. This is actually our last jar. I didn't think we were going to go through it so fast. So hopefully my tomatoes that I have out in the garden now will start giving more, and we can make at least a few more jars. I just need to grow more tomatoes next year. Actually, this year I thought I'd grow a lot. It was my first year of actually really canning. I'm not a tomato eater, only if it's canned or cooked or made in rices or salsa, but I can't eat raw tomatoes. But you know what? It's a beautiful plant to grow and I love it. So we're gonna use it here on our pizza. Okay, so here is my pasta sauce. It's a little chunky because I like it chunky. So some of the tomatoes you can see are still kind of in there. And then I have my mozzarella here that I just got it at Sam's Club or wherever I went shopping this last time. I bought the mozzarella there and just add it on there. And then I'm gonna add some basil with some red onions and some peppers from my yard with some olives. So this is gonna be my vegetarian pizza. So here's my pizza. So here is the crust, which has a little bit of a crust. It's a little thin crust, but I think it'll be okay. And it's vegetarian, and this is cooking from scratch. I mean, the olives obviously are not from scratch. That's probably the only thing, I mean, unless I grow an olive tree. But I have the vegetables from the garden, the herbs from the garden, the tomato sauce was made from the tomatoes from the garden, the pasta sauce. The cheese obviously is not from the homestead, it's from the store. If I was to have goats or cows, I probably could make homemade cheese and then it would be completely. So this is on a suburban end. You know, homesteading is not all about, oh, you have to have a big farm and completely live off grid and have water wells, because a lot of us just can't do that. I mean, I do live in a suburban home. We have running water, running electricity, but I think to me, the cooking from scratch is the first thing, the first step in homesteading, because it's what you're giving to your family on a daily basis. Nothing out of a can, nothing out of a box, nothing out of a bag. I mean, the olives are out of a can, so I'm not gonna lie there. I like olives, so I added the olives. But on a daily basis, my kids don't eat anything out of a can. They don't eat SpaghettiOs, or they don't eat anything out of a box like macaroni and cheese or rice-a-roni. We make our own rice-a-roni. I try to keep them away from that. Even cereals, I don't buy cereals anymore. I make oatmeal, I make cream of wheat, or we have scrambled eggs in the morning for breakfast, you know? And I try to make fresh bread, that would be our toast. Little steps at a time, you know, you can't do things overnight, because I understand the convenience of life. Sometimes we work as women and it's hard when you get home, but that's what you have your Instapots for, your crock pots. Prepare something maybe the night before and put it in the fridge and get home and boom, in the Instapot, you're done. And that's just some of the small steps you can do to better your health with what you eat and have a little more self-sufficiency and sustainability in life, but in slow steps. So we are gonna bake our pizza. This is my cat Boots. She's always looking for food, even though she has food. She heard me open the can of olives, so she thinks that there's something for her. Boots, dry food. I know. So here are our pizzas. This is the vegetarian one, all from the garden except the olives and the cheese, and the bread obviously made here. And here is the pepperoni and olive. That is for my daughter Raina. She loves pepperonis. And we'll probably put them in about 25 minutes, 350 degrees, and when they're done, we'll have pizza. Our pizzas have been in the oven for 25 minutes, and they are done. See how the crust is nice and brown, and the cheese is melted. So we're gonna take them out, we'll let them cool for about 5 minutes, and have pizza. So you can see that my pizzas are done, and out of that one bread recipe that I did do, we have 2 decent sized pizzas, and they'll cool for about 5 minutes, and then we will have pizza. Looks yummy. Give it about 5 minutes, honey, then we can eat.
It's delicious.
Good?
I like
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Raina has one of each. Tastes like pizza, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But it's healthier for us because it's
healthier. How? Pizza.
Maybe the
because it's home cooked. There's no preservatives. The bread is not frozen. The tomato sauce or the pasta sauce is made from the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And the pepperoni's from the store, obviously, but this one is a vegetable one. It's all the vegetables from the garden, except for the olives. Take a bite of that one, Raina. So you like that one too? I know Raina loves.
It's hot.
Can I trade one of mine out for a vegetarian one?
Go ahead. You want a vegetable? Well, eat those first, and then I'll give you another one.